So on my last video, I flew down to Krabi from Bangkok with Thai Smile after a quick overnight stop in Thailand's capital. And prior to that, I spent 6 nights in the historical city of Chiang Mai.
This is by far the most spectacular temple I've ever seen.
So overall, the weather was quite reasonable up north, and over the 6 nights in Chiang Mai, there were a couple of morning showers, but for most of the time there, the weather was great. But during my quick stop in Bangkok, it rained throughout the night before I flew down to Krabi.
So the reason I bring this up, it was actually the wet season while I was in Thailand, and to be completely honest, it's been a good 2 months since my time in Krabi. And during my time there, I didn't film so much because it did rain quite a lot of the days in the morning. I'd say out of my 7 days there, I probably didn't film for about 3 or 4 of them. So yeah, I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to put this video together, but after reviewing the footage, I've realized there definitely is a video here. I think a lot can be taken away from it as well. If you're interested or would like to know what it's like to travel, at least to maybe Krabi province in the wet season, and it could be a good marker of where to gauge your expectations. Because sure, there's definitely some cons, but like most things as well, that there's some pros in there as well, definitely.
But anyways, we'll jump into the video starting in Ao Nang, where I've arrived late yesterday evening, and we'll get on with my week in Krabi.
Okay, greetings out there guys. I'm currently in Ao Nang. I arrived here last night around about 9 PM, where I flew down from Bangkok with Thai Smile, which would have been my last video, so feel free to go check that one out. But today has been raining. It has been pouring with rain this morning, so I haven't really been able to take the camera out and check out the town as much as I would like.
So once there was a break in the morning showers, I decided to head out for my first proper walk around Ao Nang and try find a phone shop to purchase a new SIM card. Now I ended up finding a shop via Google Maps, but after the 20-minute walk, turns out they were not open on the Sunday. So I made my way back down the hill and towards the beach. So the reason I've situated myself in Ao Nang is its proximity in relation to popular locations such as Ko Phi Phi, Railay Beach and many more. Now plenty of tourists also head over to Phi Phi from Phuket, however after some research I felt Ao Nang was a better location for myself as it's closer to Phi Phi, and from research I felt it was going to be a bit more chilled out and relaxed. So on my first full day here, I've already identified a pro and a con while here in the wet season. So firstly the con. Boats are not always running, and especially the much smaller longboats. So if you're like myself and wanting to check out Railay Beach, you're going to need to hope the weather is in your favour, as today the boats are not running. Now I confirmed this with the ticketing counter which is near the beachfront here, and also asked about tomorrow, which will cost me 200 baht return. But to be honest, I'll check the weather report for tomorrow as well, as the weather isn't going to be looking great. But fingers crossed my 2-hour boat ride over to Ko Phi Phi in 2 days time will be much nicer weather. But now for the pro. It's much quieter and the streets are not packed, hence it's easy to find a seat in the restaurant and there's a much more relaxed atmosphere. And to be honest, it isn't raining all the time. At this stage it's only a couple hours this morning and then a little bit of light drizzle when I got back to my hotel. Now although I woke up to yet another morning of rain, I had already decided late last night I'll pass on going to Railay Beach today, as I didn't want to risk paying and then have the boats not running and the hassle involved with all that. But aside from this, something else I've noticed in being another pro is the absolute beauty of this place in the rain, and as per the usual morning weather, soon it cleared up and I was able to head out. Okay, second full day in Ao Nang and there's blue sky. Yes! So finally I get to see a patch of blue sky on my second full day here, and that works perfectly as I need to head up to the phone store and organise a SIM card for my remaining time in Thailand before I head on down to Malaysia. Now once back at the hotel, I organised the boat over to Ko Phi Phi for the following day, which set me back 450 baht, or about 19 Aussie dollars for the 2-hour journey. Once again, I didn't exactly do a whole lot on this day, but I was certainly feeling the humidity with the sun coming out after all this rain.
Another thing certainly worth mentioning, that in the wet season, you're going to be sweating like a pig. It's incredibly humid outside, as it's still, relatively high temperatures, and when it rains, it just steams up and you are going to sweat like crazy. I need to change this shirt.
Okay, morning guys. It is currently 8:40 in the morning. I'm just about to head to reception as I'm just about to get picked up because today we're heading to Ko Phi Phi. So after making it up to the reception, I paid the 450 baht and followed the group leader down towards the truck. Just something to keep in mind, the day before I went down to the ticketing booth near the beach where most people book the boat tickets, it was 500. So definitely ask your hotels if they can book you a ferry, as there may be a slight discount. So we did the rounds and picked up a few more guests until the truck was full, and then made our way alongside the beachfront and down to the port where we boarded our boat. Now the ferry trip is very dependent on the weather, and considering it is the wet season, thankfully we have a decent break today and shouldn't have any worries making the journey. So firstly we'll head over to Railay Beach where we'll pick up more guests and then make the longer journey out to Ko Phi Phi, all in about 2 hours. So after arriving in Ko Phi Phi Don, it was only a short 3-minute walk to my hotel, but after dropping off my luggage in my room, I was keen to head out and walk some of the streets. Now the Phi Phi Islands have become quite touristy over the years, partially thanks to The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, filmed on Ko Phi Phi Lay, a 20-minute or so long boat ride from where I am right now. Now since this island is well known for its nightlife, I was keen to head out and see what it's all about. And thankfully I met a couple of other Aussies on their last night here and bar hopped around the island. Now I'm not going to pretend I woke up and had the most productive day in the best weather I had seen yet, because the furthest I walked from the hotel was to a restaurant around lunchtime. But I made sure to get a good sleep so I could wake up fresh the following day and hike up the Ko Phi Phi viewpoints number 1 and 2. So thankfully the weather was great once again, and I started out early to try and beat the heat and the other traffic jam of tourists making their way up to the viewpoints. So the viewpoints are 3 lookouts directly looking out over the island, and from which you can also see the other nearby islands. Now I'll be heading to viewpoints 1 and 2 today, as they seem to have just as good or if not better views than number 3, at least from my prior research. But to be honest, once I got going up the first 343 stairs to viewpoint 1, I realised this wasn't going to be an easy trot, especially with the sun beaming down. So once I made it past the stair section, there is a ticketing booth for viewpoints 1 and 2, which costs 30 baht, and from there you're free to roam around the lookout 1 before making your way up to viewpoint 2. So after continuing the walk up to viewpoint 2, the views just kept on getting better. And I mean, look at this weather. Since I've been on this island, yesterday and today have just been perfect sunny days, which is quite a contrast from my time in Ao Nang. After making it down from the lookouts, I grabbed a nice meal in town, and the following day I headed back to Ao Nang for one night before flying down to Malaysia. Now I have to say, Ko Phi Phi has been the highlight of my time here in Krabi, and if I was going to do it again, I'd just spend the night in Ao Nang to position myself for the ferry over to the islands. But thank you all very much for watching if you've made it this far into the video, and if you're not subscribed and you enjoy this kind of travel content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you could also hit the like button, that helps the videos go a long way. But just before I wrap up, I'm going to leave you with my final thoughts on traveling here in the wet season. Now the cons, blue sunny days are not common, at least in Ao Nang. Well, Ko Phi Phi, that was a different story. Sometimes the longboats don't run due to the weather and rough sea conditions, and there's possibly going to be a less lively atmosphere, and bars and restaurants are not going to be filling up while you're there. And to finish up with the cons, it's harder to plan the day trips like over to Railai Beach, especially when you're depending on the weather. Now for the pros, it's cheaper for accommodation, there is a more relaxed atmosphere, so if you're someone that doesn't really like crowds like myself, hey, it might be a better time for you to go. It's easy to book tours and boats as these don't fill up as quick. And the final point I want to get across, it's not always raining. It may rain a few times in the morning, and that was the case in Ao Nang, but once I got across to the island, it rained once on my arrival, but the following 3 days were just great. So once again, thank you very much for watching this one, and I'll catch you on the next one when we fly AirAsia down to Kuala Lumpur. All the best.